You're the only one who doesn't see the picture of the Ayatollah on the face of moon. It's not easy to talk about leaving all your loved ones. I went through the mountains to Turkey.
Oh, you literally fled?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want to say, nobody, don't quit, keep going?
Chapel has helped a lot of people. Jian, I've never been happy with what I've done. I have never been satisfied. I have never thought that I'm successful. I never listened to anything that I've done.
You've enjoyed every moment of your life?
Every moment of my life.
Really?
I said, quit music right now. You're in the wrong business. I don't know what's going to happen to the future generation, because when you don't use your brain, then it stops working.
Hi there, we are between chapters. Maybe that's why so many Iranians are struggling to make sense of this moment. We live in a time when speed is currency. We all want answers as fast as AI can conjure them, but real change rarely happens with a stopwatch. We may be notoriously impatient readers of history. We want climaxes and conclusions. We want to know that the sacrifice was worth it. But then, as we've learned, history rarely reveals its intentions in real time. We are between chapters, and change will come. A few months ago, many of us may have felt we were at the precipice of something big and new. There was momentum in the streets, mobilization across the diaspora. Here it comes before too long, a secular, democratic, free Iran. But today the landscape feels different. There's a World Cup, a memorandum of understanding, a regime unchanged, and endless debates about geopolitics, foreign governments, opposition groups, strategy, timing. Every day seems to bring a new distraction, a new controversy, a new reason to declare either victory or defeat. And that's probably a mistake, because none of these things are the story. They're merely pages, and we are between chapters. We cannot demand from history a timetable it has never agreed to follow. The story is actually still being written by political prisoners who are waking up inside Evin, and by families waiting for news from a son, a daughter, a husband, or a wife who may never come home. It's being written by those facing execution while much of the world looks elsewhere. And it's also a tale being told by the dead, by those whose names became known to millions, and by those whose names were not read. Revolutions have always been moved forward by people who never lived to see the end. We are between chapters. We may imagine that transformational periods announce themselves with trumpets and fireworks, but history more often arrives disguised as uncertainty, confusion, frustration, waiting. It arrives between chapters. The Islamic Republic understands this. That's why it works so hard to manufacture exhaustion. It welcomes distraction and hopes that time itself will become an ally. But remember something that's happened over the past few seasons that cannot be undone. Millions of Iranians crossed the threshold. We've seen the regime clearly, and we've seen each other as well. We know that the Islamic Republic was not inevitable, and that knowledge may be the regime's greatest loss. Not control of the streets or control of the headlines, control of the future. You might say once the people stop believing in the inevitability of a regime, the regime begins to lose its hold on history itself. There's no meaningful return to the chapter that came before. We are between chapters. This story continues, and somewhere beyond the noise of football tournaments, diplomatic memoranda, and the endless churn of daily headlines, the next chapter is quietly gathering itself. When it arrives, it will not ask permission, and much of what seems confusing today will suddenly make sense. We are between chapters. It's July 25th, 2026. This is Roqe. Hi there. Welcome to episode 449 of Roqe. Iran Rises. I'm Jian Ghomeshi. Hello to you from Toronto. Salam Dostan Aziz. Durud Bashama. Hope you're doing okay wherever you are tuning in from around the world. This is the 45th episode in our Iran Rises series. This one featuring a full hour in-studio interview with the sagacious, with the talented, with the inspiring Ramin Zamani. We'll have him in just a few moments. We should note that we are recording this episode at approximately 3 p.m. Eastern Time here in Toronto on this Thursday, June 25th. And that's evening time in Iran. So if there's any breaking news we are missing as things change so quickly in the Iranian space right now, forgive us. But overall, we are, as I started this episode saying, between chapters. Now, just before we get going, a couple of notes. First, tickets are officially back on sale for Roqe Live 6. We are excited about this. After having to postpone the event earlier this year because of the situation in Iran, we're thrilled to announce that Roqe Live returns Saturday, July 18th at the Richmond Hill Center for the Performing Arts, just north of Toronto. It's a beautiful theater. We welcome you there. This edition's lineup includes legendary singer, songwriter, Roqe Media Icon Award recipient this time, Shahram Shapare. Tina Parsa will be joining us. Tina Parsa's first time in Canada ever. Shali Zomarodi, our dear friend, the broadcaster, Captain Christopher Behnam, Dariush Azar and his band, Pega Ganji, and yours truly as host. We'd love to see you there. Tickets are available now at our Instagram page. So if you go to @Roqe Media, our Instagram page, just click on the bio there. There's a little link just where the bio is. Click on that. It takes you to the ticket page for Roqe Live 6, Saturday, July 18th. Secondly, if you appreciate our independent programming or you want to support us, you can do so on YouTube. If you like what we do as alternative independent media, hit the super thanks button on YouTube. Some of you have been doing this. We do appreciate it. You can contribute to keeping Roqe alive and thriving. Any amount is appreciated. Super thanks button on YouTube. Okay, coming up on this 449th episode of Roqe. So for months we've been living in the middle of a story that seemed to change every day. The Lion and Sun Revolution, the protests, the geopolitics, the uncertainty, the hope. And in the midst of all of that, some remarkable conversations had to wait their turn. So today's feature interview is one of them. This conversation was actually recorded a few months ago right here, and we haven't been able to share it yet. So we've been eager to share it ever since. My guest, Ramin Zamani, is a composer, a producer, an arranger, and one of the quiet architects, you might say, behind some of the most beloved Persian pop music over the last 2 decades. But this isn't really a conversation about celebrity or hit songs. It's about exile. It's about discipline. It's about artistic integrity. It's about AI. It's about finding your path when life takes you somewhere you never planned to go. Ramin left Iran not to become a pop producer, but to pursue classical music. He dreamed of film scores, not chart success. Yet, through a series of unexpected turns, he became one of the most influential creative forces in modern Persian music. And now, at a moment when artificial intelligence, auto-tune algorithms, and social media are transforming the way music is made and consumed, his perspective feels more relevant than ever. I think this is a thoughtful, fascinating conversation, especially in the second half when we talk about everything from lip syncing in the Iranian space to attitudes about success to AI. Ramin Zamani coming up on this 449th episode of Roqe. Let's get to it. Let me tell you about Stellar Law. Today's episode of Roqe is brought to you in part by Stellar Law. Stellar Law is a boutique litigation firm based in Toronto, founded and led by Rana Nosrat Pana. The firm represents businesses and professionals in commercial and contractual disputes, particularly where relationships have broken down and the consequences are significant. Stellar Law's practice is grounded in careful analysis and strategic decision-making. Much of the work involves contract disputes, shareholder conflicts, complex business disagreements that require both legal precision and practical judgment. Rana and her team are known for approaching these matters with clarity, with focus, with a deep understanding of what is at stake for their clients. So, for those navigating serious disputes, you need a lawyer with real commercial impact. Those kind of disputes, check out Stellar Law at stellarlaw.ca. Stellarlaw.ca. Thanks again to Rana Nosrat and the team at Stellar Law. If you're Iranian and you want to do this business in Persian, Stellar Law operates in both English and Persian, so however you like it. Thanks again to Stellar Law. All right, my featured guest today is someone you may not know by face, but you've almost certainly have heard his fingerprints. He is one of the quiet architects of Iranian popular music in the last 2 decades, a producer, a composer, an arranger whose work has helped define the soundtracks of nostalgia, of exile, of heartbreak, of optimism for millions of Persian listeners around the world. But here's the twist. Ramin Zamani never set out to create pop music at all. His first love was classical guitar, in fact. His dream was film scores, and yet life and exile may have had other ideas. He grew up in the early years of the Islamic Republic, where even Western classical music could be a crime. As a teenager in Iran, he couldn't freely walk the streets carrying his instrument. Bach, not rock, was the rebellion for him. So he fled first to Canada, where he trained seriously in classical performance and composition. Then, following an encounter in Vancouver with Kamran, yes, of Kamran and Human, to Los Angeles, which pulled him into a world he had once rejected. From that came Parvoz with Hengame, collaborations with icons like Shahbaz Shahpare, Daryush, and eventually a career shaping modern Persian pop from behind the console. Today, he's here at a fascinating crossroads. He's a classically trained purist who works in the most commercial genre we have. He believes a song sometimes takes 3 hours, sometimes 3 years. He represents craftsmanship in an era of shortcuts, and he's creating music just as AI, auto-tune, and algorithmic perfection threaten to replace the imperfections that make human art matter. That's all what I want to talk to him about. I've been looking forward to this right now. Joining me in the Roqe studio is Ramin Zamani. Hello, sir.
It's great to see you, Jian. It's been a pleasure. I've known you for a while. My wife is Canadian, English Canadian. She watches and follows your interviews, and she introduced me to you. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Your wife has an incredible taste.
Absolutely.
It's such a pleasure to have you here, too.
Thank you.
And what's interesting to me is it's counterintuitive, because I know you, and I feel somewhat embarrassed that because we have never worked together or musically, etc. I just know you as the pop guy. I know you as the magical, the wizard behind so much great pop music. I don't know the story of the classical Ramin and where you began. It's always interesting to me that a kid who was growing up, I mean, you were born before the revolution, but you're a teenager through the past the revolution, that you found as your inspiration and your love classical music, not necessarily rock coming out of America. Tell me where that started.
Yeah, I have a cousin who plays the guitar very well, but he plays pop music. And he was into jazz music, pop music, and I was very fascinated the first time I saw him play the guitar, classical guitar, not classical music, but classical guitar, playing pop music and jazz music and stuff like this. I was so fascinated.
This is in Iran?
This is in Iran when I was like 12 years old. And I used to go to I almost lived in my uncle's place. I had a very good relationship with my cousins and my uncle in Narmak, Tehran. So I was very fascinated with guitar, and I started, doing what he was doing for like 3-4 years. And I learned on my own, basically, guitar. Then one day, there was this guy who played classical guitar. He played, I think, Villa-Lobos or Bach or something, or played Villa-Lobos and Bach. And he played for me, and I'm going like, holy smoke. Like, what is this? This music is something totally different.
Yeah.
And I was very fascinated. I told him, where can I learn this music? And he told me the Academy of Classical Guitar in Iran. He attends that. Bagher Muazzam was the instructor. Bagher Muazzam was a famous classical guitar player in Iran. So I immediately wanted to go there, and I went there, and I started learning classical guitar. And soon after, I was, 19 years old or something like that, I fled the country. And the reason that I fled the country was because I could not carry my instrument, classical guitar, on the streets.
Let me actually make a point of that, because for those of us who grew up outside of Iran, even if we're old enough to remember the 80s, and even if we're have, in my case, studied Iran both academically in university and then doing programs like this for years, etc., I still can never entirely get my head around the absurdities of the Islamic Republic decision making, especially in those early years. Not that it's become logical now, but in those early years, it's so counterintuitive for a Western mind who associates classical music with conservatism, or like you wouldn't think of that as rebellion unless you go back 500 years, or when Amadeus was a crazy guy or something like that. But to think that your love and execution of Bach or classical masters was considered heretical, so much so that you needed to flee the country because you wanted to play classical music, is crazy to me.
It was absurd. It was strange. I never understood like what was going on. I never understood the culture. I never understood the country. I never understood anything from the time that I was 16 years old and millions of people saw the picture of Ayatollah Khomeini on the face of the moon. I was like, I'm not a part of this society and I don't want to be here. So I just found that I could not relate to these people. I'm not talking about the government. There's a reason that a government can govern, can be the government of a country. The people are responsible for that. And I'm sorry if I say that to all my countrymen. It's their fault. It's not anyone's fault. It's not United States' fault. It's their fault. They wanted that. And I witnessed that. And I refused to live there. I left my family. I left everything. And I fled.
It's actually quite, now that you're saying that, I'm realizing how rare it is for somebody to say that. It's quite refreshing in the sense that we do tend to find others to blame for the revolution easy. And the coming of Khomeini. But at the end of the day, there were millions of people in the streets.
Absolutely.
Who had
I witnessed that.
Bought the Kool-Aid.
Maybe you were not there. I don't know if you were.
I wasn't there.
Yeah, you were not there. You did not witness it. I witnessed it.
I did witness it as a kid on TV, though.
No, but
and it was terrifying, right? I mean,
I lived it.
Yeah,
I lived it. All my friends were accusing me of being crazy. You're the only one. Are you God? You're the only one who doesn't see the picture of the Ayatollah on the face of moon. So there is something wrong with you. I said, yeah, absolutely, there is something wrong with me. So I'm going to leave.
What did your at the time? What did your family have to say about this? That you wanted to leave and that you wanted to leave for music. You're not leaving to become an engineer or a doctor.
Luckily, my parents were very open-minded and very smart, and they encouraged me to leave. They said, "This place is not for you. You should leave." And it's not easy, for parents to. I'm a parent myself, and sorry, I got a little bit emotional. Telling my daughters to leave, it's not easy. They did that.
What made you emotional? What were you thinking about?
Jian, after all these years, it's not easy to talk about leaving all your loved ones. So every time I talk about it, it's not easy.
Yeah. It's amazing that it doesn't get that much easier, huh?
No.
What was it like when you come to Canada? And
I went through the mountains to Turkey.
You literally fled?
Yeah. I went through the mountains to Turkey. It took 3 days, and we died 100 times. Like, I saw death in front of my eyes.
Who were you with?
I was with 3 of my cousins and a Jewish couple, who were much older, like older people. My cousins, one of them was 14, the other one was 16, and one of them was 17, and I was 19.
And were you with smugglers? Was it like that Bahman Qobadi film? They're taking you out over the mountain with the donkeys or whatever?
Exactly. No, we were with horses. I mean, when I say literally, I saw death 100 times. Like instances that we could have been dead 100 times during the 3 nights that we would travel at night and stay in houses during the day. So imagine like there's a cliff. Okay, we're going through the mountains with horses, and these horses choose to run at the edge of the cliff, not close to the body of the mountain. So they were running, and all of a sudden, one of the legs, and I'm going like, holy, like I look down, and I see down there, like in the middle of the night, there's nothing. Okay, so that was one of them, like one time at night we were going with horses, and all of a sudden we heard these gunshots, anti-aircraft gunshots. There's a helicopter, and they said, okay, just go down, like. So I thought, like they were shooting at us. They were shooting at a helicopter. I don't know what the helicopter was. So there's like anti-aircraft missiles, and lots of things. And
it's a film.
Yeah, it's a film that affected me for, I would say, 10 years. I had nightmares. I would wake up in the middle of the night and thought that I got caught. It took about 10 years for the nightmares to disappear.
Wow. How long did you spend in Turkey before you make your way to Canada?
Yeah, I was in Turkey for 11 months. We applied for asylum because I was a religious minority. I was a Baha'i. So we applied and we got accepted to Canada. So 11 months later, I went to Canada. One of my cousins went to Australia, and 2 of my cousins went to Denmark. Yeah.
You're no longer Baha'i.
I'm not a religious person at all. I'm anti-religion.
I can understand the sentiment.
Yeah.
So when you get to Canada, I mean, how versed were you in your fingers knew how to you were versed in the guitar? Were you versed in speaking English and integrating? How difficult was that transition for you?
English was I think my English hasn't improved much from the time that I entered Canada. My English was pretty much okay. Like I was a good student at school, and when I went to Turkey, I was speaking English, and when I came to Canada, I liked the language, so I kept practicing, and I was okay.
So your intention at that point was to be, from what I understand, I mean, what you've said in other interviews or what I read about you, it was to be a classical musician,
absolutely,
and to potentially create film scores. Was that the idea?
Yeah. At first, I wanted to be the best classical guitar player in the world. The very first day that I went to McGill University, there was a guy, his name was Inouk Demirey. He was 18, I was 25. I had this classical guitar. I'm not sure if I've talked about this to anyone, but I'm going to tell you the story. It's a very fascinating event that happened. I bought this classical guitar. It's called La Portentosa by Dieter Hopf from Germany. It's a hand-built guitar, and it was the chosen, my guitar was chosen the best classical guitar in the world in Paris International Guitar Festival. So I was, like really proud that I have a Dieter Hopf La Portentosa guitar, and I had the guitar with me. We were in a classroom, about 200 people. It was a choir, like we had to have 3 instruments. I had piano, guitar, classical guitar, piano, and voice. So we were in the choir, and Inouk was sitting next to me on my left. So he looked at my guitar and he says, "Oh, you play Dieter Hopf?" I said, "Yeah." I was like surprised that he knew the guitar. He says, "Which one do you play?" I said, "La Portentosa." He said, "Oh, Christopher Parkening plays that." So many people, like he told me all the guitar players who play La Portentosa. And I'm going like, "How do you know that?" He says, "Yeah, I know who plays what." And I'm going like, "Okay." So during the break, we had two like 1 hour sessions. During the break, we had 15 minutes. We went to the staircase, and he says he's very curious to see how it sounds because he's never played this guitar. And we said, "Sure." So we went to the staircase, and he grabbed my guitar, and he played my guitar, and right there, I decided I'm not going to be a classical guitar player anymore.
Inuk was that good.
Inuk became number 3 in the world competition that year, and he blamed this girl because he blamed the judges. He says the judges choose her because of her gender, not because she was better.
Right.
So he would have been number 1 in the world, sitting right next to me. So right there, I quit. I thought, like, Ramin, if you play 25 years, you're not going to be that good. So you better be realistic. I was realistic, and I decided, okay, I'm going to play the classical guitar, but I want to be in the music business. I'm not going to be the best in classical guitar, but maybe I'm going to be the best in something else. So I started, taking other things more seriously, like computer music, composition. I had never composed before, but I was fascinated. So I started taking composition, sound engineering, electronic music, computer music. And it's interesting that you were talking about Pro Tools in the 90s. We started working with Pro Tools in 1989, in the 80s, at McGill. And with
Wait a
Apple.
second. What happened to Inuk? Are you still in touch with him?
I'm not in touch with him.
Does this guy know how much of an impact he had on your your future?
Yeah. He, I saw a video on YouTube from Inuk, and I remember, this is very interesting. I remember I had a very good friend in Edmonton, Alberta. When I used to live in Edmonton, Alberta, I had a very good friend. His name was Mehran Hamrazian. He had a restaurant, but this guy was a philosopher. The day that I was going to Montreal, because I was going to go, I was moving from Edmonton to Montreal, he told me, "Ramin, knowledge is like an ocean. Some people never see the ocean. Some people look at the ocean from far. Some people wet their feet. Some people swim very far in the ocean. Whatever you do, don't drown." Inuk drowned. I saw a video on YouTube from Inuk. He was doing experimental music, and he had like 46 views. This guy with so much talent had 46 views. I mean, I'm not doing it.
He drowned. You know what my version of that is? Sometimes when people are so talented that they can't bring themselves to do things in simple ways because they've got, I don't know if that's where you're going with this. I mean, I was in a band for almost 10 years that did pretty well, 500,000 records, toured the world, all of these things. There was one guy in the band who was, I'll say this to his face, if I see him, he knows how I feel about it. He's one of the most talented musicians I've ever met.
Right.
But he's so talented but who wrote a bunch of the songs in the band that became hits? Me. And I knew 5 chords and, kind of had a way with melodies. But because for me, it's like the Clash famously said, we only know 3 chords, For me, it was my Vazi Fabumbud kid. I could only write simple songs that became pop songs that people enjoyed. For him, it would be like, well, going to the minor 7th is so obvious. I'm not going to do that. I've got to pick something out, And so he was so complicated in what he would do that it was amazing musically, but for the regular listener, it'd be like, I don't know what I'm listening to. Is that something of where you're going with Inuk?
That's
drowning
sort of,
in the knowledge?
That's sort of what I'm doing. See, we have to be, as musicians, okay, we have to be both emotional and realistic. If we don't use both sides of the brain, okay, and we just rely on one side, if we are very practical, it's not going to work. If we are very emotional, it's not going to work. People, in my opinion, with my experience, people who make it, they use both sides. So for me, I did a great thing when I quit. When you see Inuk, and when you see that guy is like so much ahead of me at 18, it's better to quit. Sometimes it's better to stop. In reality, like if you keep dreaming and thinking, I'm gonna be the best classical guitar player in the world, okay, then you're not gonna be anyone. But if you're a little bit realistic, you might make it. I wanted to do music. I wanted to make a living from music. I didn't want to do anything else. If you gave me $10 million, 100 million, if you gave me $1 billion and told me to work as a doctor, to be a doctor, I would say no.
But the part of the story I don't like, forgive me, but if young Ramin came to me now, if young Ramin came to you and said, my dream has been classical guitar, but I started at McGill and there's a guy who's like amazing, and so I feel like I have to quit. Wouldn't you want to say, nobody, don't quit, keep going, don't squash your dream for, it is amazing the way it's worked out for you.
Right.
But
let me give you an example.
All right.
My dream is, as a young Ramin, to run 100 meters in 7 seconds.
Right.
Practically
not going to
impossible.
Happen.
Okay, so my dream was not practical. Okay,
because you wanted to be the best in the world.
I wanted to be the best.
Couldn't you just calibrate the dream to I'm going to be a great classical guitarist?
No, I wasn't happy. I wouldn't be happy. I wanted to be the best. I don't know why. I don't know. Right. Everybody has a different personality.
Right.
So I'm not the best in what I do.
Right.
Okay, but at least I'm doing what I love. So the compromise is that I'm doing what I love. Everything that I do in music, when I do sound engineering, when I do arrangement, when I edit videos, when I write a song, when I write lyrics, everything that I do, I love. I don't do anything that I don't like.
I love it. No, it's like I now I understand what you mean. Roham, who works with us here, often comes and says, "I plan to be Lionel Messi." It's like, son, you're 40 already. It's not going to happen. But so I get the get the idea.
But Inuk was a person with extreme talents who did not use the logic side of his brain, in my opinion. He was so involved in music that he got drowned. What my friend said, the philosopher friend Mehran Hamrazian, did exactly. He told me before it happens, and I witnessed that with Inuk. Inuk was a phenomenal musician. He was not normal.
The story is you're this classical guy, and now you're composing. You've got some sound editing experience, sound mixing, etc. And you're obviously a musician yourself. You're in Vancouver, and it's this meeting with Kamran from Kamran and Human, who you end up working with and producing some great hit songs, etc. Yeah, but it's a meeting with him where you're first drawn into the world of pop music. I'm very curious what the alchemy was, what the secret sauce was, and what he presented to you or said to you that drew you out of the genre that you had loved so and brought you into the pop world. Because you could argue that we all owe him a great debt for what you've done in terms of Iranian pop music since then.
Thank you. The well, before I met Kamran, when I was in Montreal, when I was going to school in Montreal, I was doing a little bit of pop music as well. Like I was singing myself. I had a band and I had concert. I did a few concerts in Montreal, and people were appreciating, like they liked it. But I was kind of like, this music is
Persian or English?
Persian.
Persian. And what did it sound like?
I was doing covers. Like I was not doing original songs. I was doing covers, like for Eid Nowruz, Ebi, Jian Ghomeshi, your
dad's cousin.
Exactly, your dad's cousin. I was doing these kind of things because I was missing Iran, like I was missing my culture. So I was doing Persian music just to have a little bit of fun. And that's it was relatable. So Kamran knew me from those concerts. He and his family were coming to my concerts, and they knew me from there. So when he met me, he thought, like Ramin is a musician, he's trained musician, he knows pop music, and he is the best person to help me. But I was not thinking about pop music at all. I was not thinking about Persian music at all. I was thinking, like, I did not succeed in classical guitar, maybe with composition, film music, because I really love classical music. I mean, I could sit in a symphony and cry.
Right.
It brings tears to my eyes, and pop music does not do that.
And Vancouver at that point, especially, there are a lot of films being made there, so you thought, this is a place to base myself.
Exactly. So the persistence, like I told him, I said, Kamran, I don't do pop music. He says, yeah, but you have to work with me. I'm going like, okay, I don't do pop music. He says, I know, but you got to work with me. That persistence was very attractive to me.
Right.
I thought, like, this guy there's something about this guy that I like, his persistence. Like, he doesn't even hear me.
Was Kamran, was he known at that point at all?
No.
And could you tell how talented these guys,
I had no idea how
you
talented.
didn't even know.
No, I didn't know how talented he was. He and his father came to my apartment in Montreal when he was 16 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And his father said, can you help him? And I said, the only thing that I can help, because I don't do pop music, the only thing that I can say is, I can basically tell him what to do. The first thing I would do is pick up an instrument and play piano, something. The second thing is take vocal lessons, because what he's singing is not, he doesn't have control over
You heard him sing, he
sang
for you?
He sang for me, and I immediately told him, I said, take some voice lessons, play an instrument, so that you can have control over your vocal cords and your vocal techniques and everything. So back then, and he found me like 4 years ago. They had moved to Vancouver as well from Montreal. Accidentally, we see each other. I didn't know him. He had long hair now. He was like 20 years old. And the persistence was very attractive. And in the back of my mind, like, I wanted to do something Persian as well. Like, you leave your country, you think maybe you could do something. So when he convinced me that I should help him, and the love and passion that I saw in him, I decided, okay, no problem, I'll help him. So I introduced him to somebody else, Ali Elahi. He's the band leader of Daryush for the past 25 years. He was like 19 years old. I introduced him to Ali. I said, Ali is a good keyboard player. He can help you. And then Ali says, yeah, I would do it if you are there too. I said, guys, I'm just introducing you to each other so that you can work together. He said, no, I'm going to only do it if you are involved. So I thought, okay, now two people.
I hope you're giving these guys commissions of every gig you get now. They brought you into this world, and
Yes.
you've been so successful now doing it.
Thank you.
What about, and Hengame gets involved around that time too, right? Because you start this group Parvaz that Kamran is in, and
I did not start the group. The group existed before. Ali and Fereydun, the singer from right now he's in Iran, Fereydun Asrai, they had a band called Parvaz. So Ali, as we were working with Kamran, Ali, me, and Kamran, he brought Hengame to my studio. I had an apartment, and he brought Hengame. He had arranged a song for Hengame, and he wanted to record Hengame. So Hengame came to my studio, and I thought, wow, she has an amazing voice. You know, she's a very good performer. And I said, why don't we have Hengame as well in this band? And they said, really? A male and a female? Yeah, why not? So, and then Ali introduced me to Fereydun. And he says, well, I work with this guy. He's a very nice guy, and he's got a good voice. So I met Fereydun, and he said he had a band called Parvaz, and why don't we do that? And I said, sure, no problem. So we started, like doing gigs at local restaurants in Vancouver, and it was very successful at the time.
The significance of these relationships is huge, because they persist. They continue to today, or you still work with Hengame. You still, so this was 30 years ago or 25 years ago.
30 years ago.
And that this was the beginning of this long chapter of your life that has brought a lot of fruits. Something that's very curious to me, that as a sidebar, just because we were talking about Inuk and you studying classical music and all of that, it occurs to me that some of the, in the introduction, I called you an architect of Persian pop music. Some of the architects of Persian pop music, whether it be a Farid Zolan type who's a little older, and or yourself, or someone like Babak Amini, you guys all come from classical traditions. I don't see that as much in the Western space, You maybe see someone like Quincy Jones came from jazz, but the Beatles famously couldn't read music and stuff. Talk to me about why you think that's happened in the Iranian space, that the guys who are the architects have actually been people who have studied music.
To me, the music culture in the West is very strong. So you don't have to be, in a country like Iran, we don't really have a music culture. So if you're not trained, you're not really that good. You don't really understand music. But in the West, you have enough knowledge to do pop music. You don't have to be classically trained to do pop music. So I've raised 3 girls here. I understand that when they go to school, when kids go to school, they're part of choir, they read music, they play instruments, they sing in tune, We don't have that culture in Middle East. In the Middle East, we don't have that culture. So if you're a trained musician, you're good enough, maybe, and you're talented, you may be able to be effective. But if you're not trained, maybe you're not that good.
That's probably changing now, right?
It's changing,
especially with the online world.
Absolutely.
So you got a kid in Shiraz now who can access all these things that people are doing around the world and create something on their computer or whatever.
Yes.
There's so much. So often when we talk about the Iranian community, Ramin, we talk about competition and people not helping each other and dog eat dog, and so I very much treasure it when there's examples of largesse, of generosity, of this beautiful camaraderie in our community. And one of them is the story with Shahbaz Shahpare, who I love this man. I don't know him that well. Guy. I met him a few times, and we've done a couple of interviews. But I love the man that he is, not just the music and what he's done sort of for popular culture, but the generosity of this guy who almost exists to want to foster the lives and careers of others. So if I have the story correct, you moved to LA. You don't have much in your pockets. You're not famous, successful Ramin Zamani yet. And Shahbal is one of the people who literally gets you set up and brings forks and knives and spoons and plates for you to use and things like that.
That meant a lot to me.
Tell us that story.
When I first moved to LA, we just had a car, and with my 2 daughters, and now I have 3. I had 2 daughters and my wife. We basically drove with nothing to LA. I had an offer from Ahmad Masood to work at Cabaret Tehran for $1,500 a month, 4 nights a week, and my rent was $1,580.
Wow.
So I accepted that offer because I thought, at least I'm making some money. So this apartment is, basically empty. We have nothing. And the first thing that Shahbal did was he brought me some pots and pans and plates. And I thought, look, what is this? He says, this is Goli sent this, and she told me to give it to you because you guys don't have anything, And that meant a lot. That, the gesture, that being helpful. Shahbal has helped a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, just working with me on Black Cat's album, the first album that we did, Cinderella album, half of it was my tracks and half of it was his tracks. The fact that he lets, someone young, someone with no experience, to come in, and Black Cats was very famous at that time. Black Cats was a very, very famous band. So for me, it was a big deal to work with someone like Shahbal or work with someone like Dariush. So it meant a lot. Those pots and pans, and those were the little things.
It's so sweet, though, but it's a little bit symbolic.
Yes.
Right? That he takes the time and even thinks about...
Think about this.
Dariush as well is there for you in the beginning. Why would someone like Dariush, who at that point is already a big star, obviously, since the 70s, why would he trust you?
I think Dariush, I've known Dariush for, 30 years. I've worked with him. Dariush goes with his intuition. So he is very intuitive. If he feels something is right, he doesn't question it, and he does it. He heard one of my songs in someone's car, the song that I made for Kamran Hengaman, Feridun Iran Iranam.
That's Parvaz.
Exactly. Yeah. He heard that, and he asked the person who wrote this song, and they said Ramin Zamani. And he had a concert that night. He went on this stage and he says, I'm working with one of the artists from Vancouver, Ramin Zamani. I'm working with him on my new album. And so he goes with his intuition. If he feels like this is the right person, he does it. And one of the reasons that perhaps he's been Dariush all these years is because his intuition, he's not afraid of working with young people. He's not afraid of doing certain things. He's not afraid. He goes with his intuition, in my opinion.
What was the moment for you? Well, if there was a moment, if it wasn't just incremental, but was there a time when a moment where you sort of go, oh, this is my path now, and I'm doing well, I'm succeeding? Was it a particular album or a particular song or production that kind of was the one where you realized I've made it now? As
Jian, I've never been happy with what I've done. I have never been satisfied. I have never thought that I'm successful. Today, as we speak, I'm working very hard to do something incredible. And I'm 61 years old.
You don't think you've done that yet?
I don't think I've done anything. I think what I've done is...
What happens when you listen back to that Kamran Human song?
I think it's a joke. I think it's a joke. I think I should do something a lot bigger. And I have a feeling that I will.
You're not disappointed in them.
No.
Or Dariush. You're disappointed in yourself.
No, myself.
Because you could have done what?
I could have done something a lot bigger. I could have done something a lot better.
I hate you for saying that because it resonates for me. But I hate it.
I think
it's wrong. It's wrong.
I think we have something in our head.
Yeah.
We hear things in our head, and the final product does not translate.
Are you saying you can't even listen back to your old stuff?
I don't listen.
If you did, you would hear the things you would have done better.
I don't listen to anything that I've done. I only listen to others. I never listen to anything that I've done. And I've never been proud. The only thing that I can tell you that I might be a little bit proud is a track that I did for Kamran and Human called Dusat Daram Kheli Ziyad. I think the way the idea came to me, the way the song starts, the lyrics, everything is very, very unique to me. And I still think, that was pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah. But
will you concede that you've been successful?
Success? What is success?
Well, it's up to you to define. If you don't think you've...
I think I've been successful in terms of life. I think I've been very, very successful in terms of life. I've enjoyed every moment of my life. I've refused to do things that I don't like. That's success.
That's huge.
Yeah.
You've enjoyed every moment of your life?
Every moment of my life.
Really?
Even the bad moments have had a good impact on my life.
Give me an example of that.
The worst things that have happened to me.
Give me an example.
Leaving the country, losing your loved ones, not seeing your family. All those things getting beat up by your classmates because you were Baha'i. Every day, 5-6 people surround you and they beat you up.
You're glad that happened.
I'm very happy that happened because it made who I am today and made a very, very strong personality.
A person who doesn't believe is successful.
Well, success, as I said, success, because everyone defines success differently.
Yeah.
Have I achieved...
Do you think you're good? Do you think you're a good composer?
I think I'm mediocre. I think I'm mediocre.
I think you're being a little bit loose.
I have a way of thinking. I have a way of looking at things.
Yeah.
Everything is relative. Am I really good in comparison to who? In comparison to Mozart, I'm a joke.
Well, most of us compared to Mozart.
Absolutely.
But so is that the bar?
The bar is
Mozart.
Absolutely.
Inuk. You're back to Inuk.
Absolutely. And am I at that level? No way. I know that myself. So I don't think I'm that good. I think I have a little bit of talent and motivation, work ethic, I've worked very hard. Today, every day, like right now at 61, every day I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go to the studio at 7 a.m. and leave the studio at 10 p.m.
Every day?
Every day.
Fucking
seven days a week.
And sometimes you get nothing done.
Sometimes
but you're there.
Nothing. Yeah.
It's about getting and going in the door.
I produce a song sometimes 10 times. I finish it, and then everyone says, it's good. I say, no, I don't like it. I'm going to start from scratch again.
It is kind of a workaholic, though, right?
It's, like if you
every
enjoy,
day, 6 to 10 p.m., 6 a.m.
Well, when I'm not traveling, and I do a lot of traveling.
Okay.
So every day,
but
I wake up.
Nobody's intervened. Your wife, your kids, nobody's gone.
My studio.
Take Sunday off, buddy. So,
they've learned that they cannot. I don't enjoy anything but music. If you tell me, let's take a vacation, go to the beach, I say, I'm gonna be really bored. I'm so sorry. I can't do that. Let's go to a movie.
Sports?
I can't do that. Nothing. Nothing. The only thing that makes me happy is.
Thank God that you're mediocre at it. At least, if you're really bad at what's really suck.
I'm making a living.
What's interesting is there's an attitude amongst some Iranians. I don't want to say all, because then they'll say, why are you, castigating Iranians? But we do have kind of a thing where there's a bit of chest beating for some. You'll meet an Iranian businessman, or frankly, it happens in the music as well, where they'll talk about their success. They'll talk about, I did this, I have this big, I have that. They want to show through their car, and you're not like that. You're sitting here, kind of doing the opposite of that, almost downplaying.
I'm not downplaying. I'm realistic.
You're realistic.
I told you about Inuk, and
Yes, you did. Yes.
I mean, if you're realistic, you realize who you are. If you know who you are, then you don't say something nonsense. I know who I am. When you tell me how I rate myself, what is the bar? Where is the bar?
Right.
The bar for me is Gustav Mahler. It's Beethoven.
But again, where's the bar? As a father, as a coach, as a guru, when you're producing, a producer is kind of like it's like a movie director. It's like a coach. You're bringing somebody along to a certain. You're like a father figure. Where's the line between being realistic and, on the other hand, undermining one's own confidence? In other words, part of it is, I'm sure you agree, back to the one who wants to run the race. If you don't think you can win the race, you won't win the race. That's for sure.
I'm
right?
extremely confident, but realistic. I'm extremely confident.
So if a rapper comes to you and says, I think I'm the best rapper in the world,
I said, good for you.
Even if the person's not exactly Drake.
Yeah, everybody is entitled to their opinion. I'm not going to judge people, but I judge me.
But what would you say as their coach?
I would tell them, good for you. There is no hope. I mean, somebody.
So good.
I talk to somebody. I give advice to a lot of people, and
randomly, or they ask you?
They ask me.
Yes.
They asked me. They were talking to me, and they were talking about their career, and I asked this person. I said, "So what would happen if you don't get to where you want to be? What are you gonna do?" She said, "I've put a deadline for me. In 4 years, if I'm not popular, I'm gonna quit music." I said, "Quit music right now." She says, "What?" I said, "Quit music right now. You're in the wrong business. If you have a goal that in 4 years, if you're not famous, you're gonna quit music today, because you're in the wrong business. We don't do arts for being famous or success, or I do it. I'm happy. I'm thankful that I make a living in music, but I don't do it to impress people. I don't do it to become successful. I don't do it to be popular. I don't do it for none of that. I do it because I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of unanswered questions. I want to know what happens if you combine this instrument with that instrument. What happens if you use only drums in the track? What happens if there's like so many questions? And I think that's the way I look at it.
I want to ask you about AI and the future of music before I let you go. But just before that, about being a producer in the Iranian music space, Iranian pop space. What is something that you need to know when producing Iranian pop that wouldn't necessarily apply to Western pop? In other words, if some great Western producer were to come to you right now and say, like whether, I don't know, Bad Bunny or Dr. Dre or something like that, says, I've been asked to produce an album for an Iranian. It's going to be Iranian pop. What would you want to pull them aside and tell them?
To me, you have to know the roots of the culture in order to have an impact on the society. So the surface, which is production, is not as important as the root. Anyone who wants to produce or write a Persian song, They would have to know the culture of Iran. They would have to know the music, the musique sunnati, like the classical Persian music. They have to know religion, the religious melodies. They have to know all these things to have a full impact on the society.
Really?
In my opinion, absolutely.
But that's not, is that true of Black Cat songs? They all have sort of that imbued in them?
In my opinion, they do.
Or the stuff you'd hear on Radio Javan today?
If they're effective, they have direct relation to the roots. If they're effective, a lot of things that you hear, you're not going to hear in 6 months. Things that will remain for the next 30 years, they have a very strong relation to the roots of the Iranian society.
There's a big controversy these days about, I've seen it in the Iranian space, as well as non-Iranians, obviously, but it's particularly come up a fair bit in the Iranian space about people performing to track, not singing and performing live. To be honest, I'm kind of heartened by the fact that this becomes a controversy, because it's always bugged the shit out of me when somebody feels like a fake performance, that somebody's getting people to pay money to come see them and they're just lip syncing or something like that. But sometimes I think actually people don't care that much, that it's just some sort of music critic dude in his basement who's taking objection to this. What's your feeling about how much we see of that in Persian music?
To me, it's a little bit sad. If I don't care what people expect, I care about like you as a performer. Like what is in your head. If you can't sing, you shouldn't sing. If you cannot sing, you gotta quit. Okay. So it doesn't matter what the audience doesn't have very good ears. The average audience in the Western music or Eastern music, Middle Eastern music, do not have very good ears.
They don't.
Okay,
so then who cares? So you're some young female Iranian pop singer and you sing the track. Okay. If the audience isn't complaining, who cares?
At least announce that I'm using playback. I cannot sing. Be honest. Honesty is extremely important. To me, you gotta be honest. You gotta be honest with people.
Yeah.
Tell them that I'm so sorry, my fans, my lovely friends, I cannot sing, so I'm gonna lip sync, and everybody's gonna clap for you. They're gonna say, we came to see you. It doesn't matter. You're 7 years old. You're 80 years old. You cannot sing. It doesn't matter. People are gonna understand that. But don't fool people.
Oh, that's interesting. Just be straight up
be
about
frank.
it. This is what we're doing. Yeah.
Be frank. Don't lie, because that's not good. It's like I cannot write a song, and I do something and I say I wrote this. It's a lie.
Have you have you been using AI at all?
I have looked at AI because to me we're living in a society where technology is improving so fast. It's advancing. It's getting we're getting new things, so we have to know about AI. I've looked into software called Suno. Yeah, and if you have a question, I'll tell you.
Well, it's either a thrilling time or a terrifying time, depending on your perspective. I tend to fall more in the latter category of the terrifying, in the sense that I now see and hear a lot of AI music being created. I mean, we know that AI everything is being created, little videos, documentaries, fake biographies, porn, like whatever, but in the music space, to now see that songs are charting, people are using this, to me, I can usually tell it's AI so far, because to me it sounds, and I really mean the word this time, mediocre. It doesn't sound like somebody with any soul created it.
Yeah.
But the worst part of that is, I'm not sure if people care. And I even worse than that, I feel like if people get so used to hearing AI music, one of the reasons you said earlier that Iranians, people in the Middle East don't have the ears because they weren't exposed to it as much,
Yep,
right? It's
exactly.
natural.
Yep.
The more you hear something, the more you're aware, the sharper you're going to be able to have a critique. If you grew up watching art films from a French period, you're going to be able to critique those art films more than if you see it for the first time.
Your ears are more trained that way.
Your ears
Yeah.
are more trained.
Yeah.
I feel like the inverse is happening, where this stuff becomes so plentiful that it becomes normal. I said on the show a couple of weeks ago that when Zoom first began, it was kind of almost shocking because the quality of the video was so bad that you're like, oh, well, that doesn't look great, but I guess that's all we can afford these days. Technology hasn't reached the point. Then it got to a point where it didn't matter. People were putting it on TV, traditional TV, because our eyes were so used to seeing this low quality that it wasn't a big deal to us anymore. That's what I'm afraid of with AI music. I feel like guys like you and I might sit around and go, well, that sounds kind of mediocre, but that it won't matter. That it won't matter, and real talent, real singers will lose their jobs and won't even be able to rise above that ocean of mediocrity, because it'll be all consuming and it'll be cheaper, it'll be easier to attain, and everyone can do it.
Yeah, life goes on. Like there is technology advancement, life goes on. We cannot really speculate, we cannot really predict exactly what's going to happen, but AI will have an impact on music. Now, what the impact will be, we cannot 100% be sure what that impact will be. What I hear today is you can get ideas from AI, but the AI generated music is very, very mediocre, because it does not, at this stage, it hasn't really perfected the way it works. So us thinking that, oh my God, AI is here, like it reminds me of CD, like before tape.
Yes,
like
people are always
CDs
afraid
here.
of the new technology.
Yeah. So we should embrace it. We should not be afraid of it. We should take advantage of it. I give an idea, I give a melody to Suno, okay? And I have ideas for the arrangements. I tell Suno, I want this music to have classical string section.
Sure.
In the middle of, like whatever garbage it's giving me, there's a little line that gives me an idea and changes my direction of the production drastically. So the way I would use it,
well, you're cherry picking something. You're using as an assistant.
Exactly.
It's not replacing what you're doing.
No.
But Ramin John, I have a friend who's you might even know him. He's Iranian, a very, very talented musician.
Mm-hmm.
Says, I love AI music. And he's at this point almost giving up music because he says there's no point. I said, you really love, what are you talking about? He sent me a link to it's called Persian jazz or something. He says, listen, this isn't foreground music for me. I play this in the background. Sounds great. Doesn't bother me. It doesn't sound that bad. Does it have soul? Is it blowing me away? None of those things.
Exactly.
No. But it doesn't sound that bad to play in the background. Now think about what's happening there. The space that's occupying. That
in the
Persian
back
jazz.
of your mind.
Not just in the back of your mind. That space it's literally occupying. It's playing in the room where previously you would have had the radio on, so it's undermining the radio, or even Spotify, And it's not even being made by, there was no musician sat and made that, no producer worked on it, no sound engineer, nobody marketed it. It just came to you through your AI, and you're putting it. So you're replacing all of that, and it's not great. It's good.
Yeah. There's a problem with AI. There is a problem. So it's not going to be all pretty. You know, there's going to be advantages and disadvantages. In terms of creativity, I don't think that anything can ever replace human creativity. I don't think, because it just, you see, the way I look at it, we're 8 billion people, 8 billion people on this planet.
Yes.
Right? Each one of us are extremely unique. Not two of us are the same.
Yes.
So if each one of us just do what we think is right, we will be extremely unique and extremely different. AI is a combination of 8 billion people. It's not.
Yes.
Okay. So when you write a piece of music, it's a personal experience that if you're really talented, if you're born to be a songwriter or a singer, it's a personal experience which is extremely different than everything else that anyone has produced. All my daughters are into music, and my youngest one is a extremely talented singer-songwriter. What she comes up with is very unique, and I'm going like, where does she get these ideas from?
Right.
I can never get those unique ideas from any Suno or any AI generated music,
because it's an aggregate of what's already done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we can embrace that, we can learn from that, we can take advantage of it, okay, and use it as an assistant, which is it's a very good assistant. I can say,
when you're producing,
Mhm.
do you have strict lines around what you will and won't use for technology? Are you okay using auto-tune on a vocal?
I'm okay to use anything that is accessible, anything that is used. If it sounds good to my ears, if it enhances the production, if it makes it sound better, I'm willing to do anything. I have no limitations.
So you're happy. You'll use an AI string section if you have to.
I won't use the AI string section. I would get ideas from the string section.
That's a line. That's a line then. That's a line you won't cross. You're going to use that. You need it to be real strings?
I need it to be either real strings or created the way I want it. Because you cannot play something for me for like 1 minute and I like the whole thing. I might like 2 seconds of it.
I gotcha.
But the rest of the 58 seconds is my idea because I hear it differently. And I'm not lazy. So I will get the idea. Like, let's say, string section in the middle of it is like, what-a-ba-da-bump. I hear that and go, ooh, this is very interesting. This motif is very interesting. Then I'm, but the AI didn't do that. The AI just in one section, it's a it's like Beethoven Fifth Symphony, ta 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 ta. Somebody knocked on the door and he wrote a symphony. That knock on the door was AI. For me, that knock on the door is the AI.
That's the best case scenario.
Yep.
I hope that continues.
That's for me.
Yeah.
Because I have my own taste. I have my own ideas. Okay. I don't know what's going to happen to the future generation, because when you don't use your brain, then it stops working.
Yeah. I just think, I'm sorry to belabor it, it's just particularly interesting to me. I think the deluge of this stuff will weigh down, will become so heavy that the good gets lost in it. Look, photography is a great example.
Yeah.
I don't think people care about amazing photographs anymore.
Yeah.
They might see something, go, oh, that looks cool, but to pay for it or elevate it or really want to,
It becomes
because why? Because everyone can take
Yeah.
photos now. Everyone's a photographer. So anybody who thinks I'm going to take this, I'm going to spend a day taking this amazing shot of something.
It's going to be challenging. It's going to be very challenging. It's going to be very challenging for the future generation, especially because, I mean, Gen Z is not using, in my opinion, is not using their brain like the generations before.
Yeah.
You know, like we don't rely on technology. I mean, I don't rely on technology as much as my children do.
Yeah.
You know, so the more you use your brain and you don't rely on assistance, the more creative it becomes and the more your brain functions.
I thank you so much,
of course,
for the time you've given. It's so much fun to have you here. I could talk to you. It makes sense. I mean, you know, to have you that I would enjoy it this much. Before I let you go, you know, you said when you said earlier, you intimated that you don't feel like you've made your masterpiece yet. Is there a particular artist or particular gig that you would really love to take? What is it? What when you, if I were to say, visualize what your dream gig, your masterpiece that you haven't accomplished yet is, what would you say? What is it?
I have written a couple of pieces that I've not released like 10, 15 years ago, and I might release them one day. Those are very, very unique. I've impressed myself a little bit. You know, I thought, you know, like, good for you. But for several reasons, I did not release the songs. So hopefully, I'm working with a new singer. Her name is Kiana.
I've seen her. She's all over your social media.
Yeah.
You obviously really believe in this person.
I do, because she's very serious. And
where is she?
She's living right now in Georgia, Tbilisi, Georgia.
Oh. And
she's performing there twice a week, 3 times a week sometimes.
What's she doing in Georgia?
Just performing there.
I mean, why Georgia? Why not?
Well, our intention,
LA or, you know?
our intention is to bring her to the United States, so I can work with her much faster. You know, like the project has taken me a very long time because of the distance. So every time I want to do a recording, I have to go there, you know, and it's costly and not easy. So I think with her, I'm going to do a lot of very interesting stuff. And I also think with Hengame, I'm going to do some very, very interesting stuff. I mean, we've worked a lot for a long time, but we haven't done anything that is close to what I want to hear. But I have a feeling.
Do you tell her that?
Yes, today.
What does she
before
say?
The interview?
What does she say?
She agrees with me, and I have told her to do certain things. And
actually, that's a very exciting thing to hear. If I were her, I'd be like, "Wow, all right, buddy, let's go." Yeah, that's great.
So these two, I think, we're gonna do some interesting stuff, hopefully.
Ramin Zamani, I'm so grateful. Thank you for making the time. It's an honor to have you in our studio. To be continued.
Absolutely.
All right, brother.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
Merci. You know, for the last 6 months, 2 things happened. One, the news was changing so quickly that we couldn't afford to do long form interviews in the studio. We were kind of we've been booking panels. We will continue to do so. It's not like we're going to suddenly stop it, but that we would record just before we would post so that we could keep up to date. And we were bringing in people from all over the world on Zoom, on an interface, not in studio. Also because, as many of you know, so many of the events and concerts and gatherings and Nowruz galas and all of that had been canceled over the last few months due to the situation in Iran, that not a lot of people were coming to Toronto who normally come to the city and then come to our studio for an interview. So we had Ehsan Karimi earlier this week. We have this Ramin Zamani interview just now. And it's really nice to get back to those long-form interviews here in the studio. It is something that I crave and I like to think is the bread and butter of what we do. And so I really appreciate that and hope you do too. And thank you to Ramin Zamani, who recorded this interview about 5 months ago. And I texted him today and said, I love this interview. I can't wait for people to hear it. And he said, I don't even remember what I said. I'm excited to read it, to watch it myself. So thank you, Ramin. I hope you enjoyed listening or watching it back as much as we do. And if you guys out there have any thoughts on this interview or a lot of the sort of inspirational comments that he made, educational comments, and very Roqe, when he talks about if you're just getting into this for fame, you should not be a musician. Stop singing. Stop singing if you're going to lip sync, or at least be honest about it. A lot of those points, if you have something to say about them, email us at info@roqemedia.com, info@roqemedia.com, or you can post on any of our platforms in the comments section, which we always appreciate. This is full time for Roqe for today. I want to thank the amazing team who put this show together twice a week during this Iran Rises period. Savi Roham, Super Parisa, and the photo and video queen Tina Farahi. Special thanks as well to our extended Roqe family, Smart Pega, Charming Kimia, Talented Anahita, Methodical Kaver, The Rising Keon, all of whom are helping right now to put Roqe Live 6 together, Saturday, July 18th at the Richmond Hill Center for the Performing Arts. We want to see you there. Remember, for tickets, you can get them. Go to our bio on Instagram, and the link is there for tickets, or you can go to the website of the Richmond Hill Center for the Performing Arts. Seems like that's a little harder to do, but you can also do that. We are on Instagram at Roqe Media. You can find me on Instagram at Jian Ghomeshi. And as ever, thank you for this, and Mizun Bashi.